Hey folks, if you're anything like me and you're watching this video, you're probably obsessed with camera gear. I know I am. My kit represents something I use every single day when I go out and shoot my street portraits. What I'm looking for often is not necessarily the best. I'm looking for something that gets the friction out of the way. That if I'm feeling that urge of like, I'm gonna leave that piece of gear home, or I don't wanna do that, or if there's just something between me and making, I try to examine that and try to get a piece of equipment that solves that problem. So this is not about what is like the best. This is about, making something that's easy to use and that makes you feel good when you use it. So we're gonna go from cameras to vlogging stuff, to behind the scenes, to bags, to lenses, all kinds of stuff. And before we get going, I should introduce myself. I'm Velvet Alfredo. I'm a street portrait photographer. I go out into the world and I find incredible and unique people. I snap their photos. I just love spreading positivity through finding incredible folks on the street. That's what I do. And this is the gear that makes all of that possible. Okay, so first let's start with cameras. Now, I've talked about cameras a bit on this channel already, but I have two main systems that I own and that I use. I've got the Sony A7R5 right here. I love this camera, 60 megapixels. But I have its Leica equivalent, which is the Leica M11. They technically have the same exact sensor. People lust after this camera. But I gotta say that I have discovered that rangefinders are just like not for me. And so the Leica is well built as it is and as technically accomplished as it is. A legendary camera. This is not the camera I chose for 2025. I chose the A7R5. I love this camera. It speaks to me. It's easy to hold. It is an incredible hybrid camera because I'm shooting street portraits, but I have this desire to shoot vlog content. I want to document the process in real time. And it doesn't feel good to have a second camera that I'm holding in my pocket. Like, all right, let me whip that out. So the fact that I can also use this as a vlog camera, I'm going to show you how I do that in a second, but it's incredible. And it shoots 8K video, which I don't even shoot 8K. I shoot 4K. It shoots super slow motion. It's incredible. 60 megapixels. This is like the best camera I've ever owned. No shade on the Leica, but the Leica does not speak to me. And in fact, I think I'm probably going to be selling my Leica because I just don't use it anymore because I have two of these and I am absolutely obsessed with them. But any talk about a camera begs the question, what lens are you going to use for it? And so on here, I've got the 50mm compact, but that is not something I'm choosing. My options today are between the 24mm compact. This is the Sony G lens. It's super tiny. It's about the size of an M lens, and it's incredible. It's an f2.8, super sharp, super lightweight, super easy to use. Then I'm going for another staple, the 24 to 70 millimeter zoom lens. This is the G Master 2. This is an incredible lens. I mean, this is kind of the best of everything. F2.8 at 24, F2.8 at 70. This is a run and gun lens. It's perfect for events. But I find that this is too heavy for me on a day-to-day basis. Like if I was shooting a wedding, I totally understand why this lens would be incredible. But I am not shooting weddings. I'm out shooting street portraits, and I really only shoot at 24mm. So the rest of this lens is lost on me. But I do have a desire, like I said, to vlog. And 24mm, especially when you turn on the active stabilization inside of a Sony A7R5, it zooms in a little bit. So you're kind of shooting at like a 26, 27, 28mm. And that's a little too tight for vlogging. So I chose an entirely different lens and a weird lens that I don't think a lot of people talk about. The 16mm to 25mm f2.8 G zoom. This is kind of like a newer lens from Sony. Not a lot of people talk about it because it's a very weird zoom range. 16 to 25. I mean, generally it's 16 to 35. But the 16 to 35 that Sony sells is really, really, really nice. But it's also very expensive. It's like $2,300, and it's very heavy. This 16 to 25mm G is very lightweight. It's a lot cheaper. It's only about $1,000. And it does exactly what I need. It's 25mm at the far end, right? So that's exactly what I shoot my street portraits at now. And then I can zoom out to 16mm and vlog. And it's perfect. I mean, I could just switch back and forth between those two zoom ranges, and I could shoot street portraits, or I can shoot video vlogging stuff. And it's solved the problem that, yes, this 24 millimeter compact is really, really nice. It's just a little bit too tight if you're going to vlog with it. I could probably get away with it, but I'm holding the camera like really far out to do that. And it's not super comfortable. With a 16 millimeter, I mean, I can damn near have that in my face and everything, I'm still totally in the frame. But that begs the question as to how I vlog, because the rest of my camera kit is basically around the vlogging setup. So let's talk about vlogging next. So there's a couple key components to my vlogging setup. I've got obviously the camera, the lens, but I need to attach a few pieces of gear to it. So I'm using this small rig full cage. This is a cage that has 2 cold shoe mounts on either end of it and mounting brackets all around. It's really, really, really nice that way. And it's super lightweight, so I don't even really feel that it is on the camera. It also has an Arca Swiss mount at the bottom so that I can just slot this into any like standard tripod anytime I need to. I've got like a handful of like tripods around my studio office here that if I need to just like plop it in, I can totally do it. I don't need to have all these like plates because one of the things that really bothers me is when a camera is kind of like tilty. Like, so if I put it on a desk and it kind of flops over. So if you have like tripod plates on the bottom, they're constantly like not balanced properly and they're always like tipping over in weird ways. And I hate that. So I like a nice flat bottom, and this small rig cage has an Arca Swiss, so it's super easy. But you'll also notice this huge microphone on this side. It's not actually huge, but it's given how small this camera kit is, it's actually pretty sizable. But this is the Video Rode Micro 2. It's a very tiny little microphone. It's got a 3.5 millimeter jack right here. It goes right into the camera. But I also bought the Dead Cat for it. Now, this Rode Dead Cat is surprisingly hard to find. There are a lot of like knockoff brands on Amazon, but none of them fit properly. I've wasted a lot of money trying to get the perfect Dead Cat for this microphone. So I found the Rode branded one. I got it from B&H Photo, and it fits perfect and it's incredible. I've used this in extremely like windy locations, and the audio is perfect. It's not kind of good. It's not like usable. It's perfect. So I'm telling you, get this Dead Cat for the Video Rode Micro 2, and it's a perfect outdoor setup, and you could use it anywhere. I don't notice an audio difference indoors or outdoors with this on, so I just leave this on, and that's that. And I can mount it right to the side of the small rig cage, so it's not in the way of any of my stuff, because you'll notice I also have a flash up here, but we're going to get to that in a second. So I mounted to the small rig cage here, and it fits perfectly. I also tend to wrap the cord around the cage multiple times so that there isn't any like excess cable. I don't want anything that can snag or catch. I want like a really, really easy setup, and this makes it kind of like very compact and like a tight little package. It also doesn't get in the way of the flip out screen. As you can see here, like I can look at that and I can see the screen no problem when I'm vlogging. This is not getting in the way. The other thing is, because this lens is so long here, it doesn't see the microphone in the shot. The compact 24 mil actually did see a little bit of the microphone in the upper corner. And so that was like not awesome. And I really struggled with that idea for a while because I really wanted to use this lens. And I got to the point where it's like, no, it's not wide enough. I need something better. And so the 16 to 25 solved that problem of the microphone just popping into the frame. The last bit of this vlogging kit I am kind of proud of because it's a little non-standard. I'm using this little tripod foot. This goes to the DJI RS Mini 3 stabilizer. It's the one that comes on the bottom. But I don't use that stabilizer very often, and so I took the tripod foot off and I screw it to the bottom here. And when I do so, it does two things. Turns into a handle. So now I could just like shoot myself like this, and it's really lightweight, really easy to use, and it just sits there. So when the camera's strapped around my neck, it's just, hanging out. But if ever I'm shooting somewhere and I want to just like place it down, look, it has this tripod foot. It just folds out, and you can just place it right on a table. Just done. It's really convenient that way. So I use it mostly as a selfie stick, and then obviously turns into a tripod foot whenever I need it to. Now, I know that there are a lot of like tripod feet like this. I've got this guy here. I've got this man Frodo with this ball head. The problem with these is that the ball heads are never quite powerful enough, and I don't want to trust them. I feel like they will like slide over time, that they're not very robust. This DJI is designed for a much larger stabilizer with a camera on it, and so it is built to last. It is not going to fall off. And the small rig cage has many attachment points at the bottom, so I could just put it in any way I want. Depending on the lens, your balance may be slightly different, but this is a very, very easy setup. Now let's talk about this flash, because this flash is the part that has struggled, that it's made the kit as big as I'm prepared to ever. Like, I can't deal with a bigger camera kit than this. This is they're already pretty small. It's like not a massive kit, but the flash really kind of like levels it up in terms of weight and in terms of just like overall volume. But I found that when I'm shooting street portraits, I would come across people that were awesome looking. I'm always just looking for like incredibly unique people. And they would be in not the optimal lighting condition. Like they're walking down the wrong side of the street, or I catch them in shade, or just like the conditions are kind of overcast and blah. I have so many photos when I was starting out with this project where like the person's awesome and the photo's just not great. I had this one person in particular. She's kind of like a famous tattoo artist here in Charlotte. She's been like on Ink Master, or I don't even know. She's like in the community. And I saw her coming down the street and I didn't know who she was at the time. And I asked to take her photo. She was super cool, but like the shadows are so harsh, it kind of like messed up the photo. And it irked me that like, man, I should have turned her a little bit, but like I was so flustered in the moment. Wasn't thinking about that. And I found that a flash giving like a fill to the front of anybody, no matter the lighting conditions, almost always during the day outside is a more flattering, stylized look. And I fell in love with it. I fell in love with that flash-filled look. And so that I went on this journey of trying to find like the most compact, easiest to use flash, because I do not want to calculate distances. I don't want to get into GN numbers. I just need like TTL. I need like something as close to auto as I can, because my situation is incredibly dynamic. I am not like setting up for a flash photography session inside of a studio. I just have to rock and roll. So I chose a Sony branded flash. This is one of the smallest flashes that Sony makes. It's called the Sony HVL24 flash. And it uses 2 AA batteries. I use the rechargeable Panasonic Pro batteries. I think they're called Eneloop. The link's in the description below. Links for all this stuff in description below. But I use these rechargeable AA batteries, and this thing is a beast. It's really powerful. Like in bright daylight conditions, I can still get like a full fill flash that like eliminates most shadows and is a really pleasing, flattering look outside during the day. And I've really fallen in love with it. And in a heartbeat, I would make my kit smaller. I would take that flash off if I could, but I just have fallen in love with the look. I just love the stylization. I love what it does to people's faces, and I've decided to keep it. So this primarily represents my camera kit. There's a lot more gear to go over, folks, but this is the camera kit. But there's one last thing I want to talk about in regards to the camera. You'll notice these anchors. These are the Peak Design anchors. And there's like 2 schools of thought with these. I've seen people like fall in love with them, and then there's people who absolutely hate them. I love them. I think these are great. I have these on all my cameras, and I have so many different straps. I've got this one right here. This is like a big, thick strap that Peak Design sells itself. And then I've got a bunch of like leather straps that have like the Peak Design like anchor locks on the end. What I love about this thick one is that it feels good around the neck. The problem with like a aesthetically pleasing thin leather strap, or even those like braided fabric straps, is that they can turn on to, with a heavy camera, they can turn into like a thing that's like cinching your neck and like really digging into your muscles, and like, God forbid, your arteries. Like it doesn't feel healthy to have that around your neck. But something thick like this, it fits really comfortably around your neck. It doesn't feel like it's like digging in or like pressing you in an uncomfortable way. It's like a really comfortable way to wear this. And I wear it around my body, under my arm, like this. So it's just like, it's very easy. I can just let it hang there, and I just like chill on the side of the street waiting for people to walk by that look interesting. But I can't recommend this whole setup enough. Like the Peak Design anchors and the strap, just super, super useful. And now to accompany the lens, I want to talk about a few things. There's two filters that I use all the time. I use a Glimmer Glass grade 1 on all of my lenses. I love that soft, kind of hazy feel that Glimmer Glass gives any digital image, especially something 60 megapixels, and the Sony stuff is just like hyper sharp, almost clinically sharp. And so I think that the Glimmer Glass grade 1 really takes the edge off. I love what it does to highlights. I love what it does to blooming. It's really just a beautiful thing. And I put it on all of my lenses. Second thing is, I know a lot of people love variable ND filters, generally for video, because they can kind of like dial in the exposure. I loathe variable ND filters. I think it can do some really wacky things, because technically what you've got on there is kind of like it's almost a polarizer. And so it can do weird things with reflections, weird things with skies. I don't love them. So I have a ND 0.9 on here, which is just a 3-stop ND filter. But that gets my exposure down low enough that if I'm at an f2.8 and I'm at like an ISO 100, I can shoot at something below a 1/200th of a second shutter speed, which is totally fine for video. I know a lot of people obsess over like a 1/48 shutter for video. I think that is an outdated way of thinking about video production. I mean, in a world where we're talking about 60p, I just don't think that people chasing like the old school 24p 1/48th of a second shutter, I just don't think that's applicable in today's modern day, where we're seeing videos in different frame rates, whether it's video games or vlogging or whatever. I don't think it matters. So I just try to stay under 1/200th of a second to try to keep the motion not crazy stroby. But this does that. So I don't have to screw around with a variable ND filter that may or may not get moved on every single shot. I just have 3 stops of ND on there. If you wanted to go crazier, you can go like 4 or 5 stops, but I think 3 stops is totally fine. And I've got that on all of my lenses now too. So I'm always set up for either photos or video at any moment. Okay, so now for some of like the biggest changes in my kit. We're going to talk about vlogging, and we're going to talk about my camera bag. Now, first, both of those topics are painful because I have really struggled with the most perfect vlogging camera and the most perfect bag. Now, when I say vlogging, I mean like I am documenting the act of taking my photos or videos, usually like I'm photographing somebody on the street and I want to record their video reaction at the same time. So what I have done for almost a year was I use this Insta360 Go 3, and it has a little capsule here and it detaches. And this capsule fits right on your hat. So you wear a ball cap and it has this little attachment and you can fit it right under the brim of a ball cap. And I've been doing that for about a year and I haven't loved it, because the connection between these two things is kind of sketchy. That this will show you on the screen here what this little capsule is recording, but it'll often lose connectivity. I had one time where I went on a vacation for photography and this failed. I just could not get it to work. I couldn't get it to record. I couldn't get any of the signal to come through. I had no idea what's going on. Thank God I had previously bought a second one. So I had a second one available. And then like halfway through the trip, it just started working again, the one that was broken. And so like, I've always felt that these things are very touchy. One of them broke. And I'm pretty easy with my gear. But one of them broke. I had to send it back for a repair service. It was totally free. I don't even know what happened. They sent me back a new one. But these things are not great. The other thing is that first of all, you got to wear a ball cap, and I'm not usually wearing a ball cap. So I started wearing a ball cap for this project. And that was not awesome. And also, I keep this in my pocket. So now I got this thing in my pocket banging around. I've got this on my hat. I look like a tourist because I'm just kind of walking around with a GoPro essentially on my head. And it has always been a pain point because I have to remember my hat. I have to remember the camera attachment. I have to remember this thing. I have to remember that it's charged. I have to like dump all the footage off of here. The microphone is really susceptible to wind noise, which is a problem in the area that I shoot. There's a lot of wind. And so I put one of these kind of like aftermarket little sponges on the front that kind of dull the wind. It doesn't even work that great. When I was in Los Angeles shooting at the beach, at Venice Beach, I had all kinds of wind noise problems. I have a couple videos like recently where they're awesome except for the wind noise, and so I can't publish them. So these things have not been high on my recommendation list, but I didn't know what else to do. I didn't know what other piece of gear I could use. I could wear a chest mount, but the interaction is different. A chest mount, people are looking above the camera to the eyes of the person wearing the chest mount. Whereas when you're wearing this on your head, it looks like people are interacting with the camera. And I know it's subtle, but I think that is an important distinction. But then I discovered these. These are the Meta Ray-Ban sunglasses. They have cameras in them. They have AI in them. They have speakers in them. And I got a pair that is just clear. And I don't wear glasses, but I put them on and they beep and they turn on and I can record at the touch of a button. There's a little button up here and I just press and hold and I record anything that I see. I could take photos. It's really, really slick. And so I went out and I tested it. And I walked around the area that I shoot for as long as the battery would last. Normally these things only last about 45 minutes. So the way I use them is that I put this on my hat, I hit record, and I have 45 minutes of record time. And there's a bit of stress walking around trying to find people inside that 45-minute window. And that's why I bought a second one, because I was like, well, maybe I can have 2 45-minute sessions and I'll get more photos out of it. The way you have to use this is this can't just keep recording. You get a 3-minute window. So you press a button and you get 3 minutes of record time maximum. It doesn't have to be 3 minutes. You can stop it at any time, but you have 3 minutes. And so I just wait on the corner for people to walk by. And when I see somebody cool, I hit the button, walk over, talk to them. My interaction is almost always under 90 seconds. And then boom, I'm done. And this has been a game changer. The audio is awesome. The video quality is awesome. Even though it's lower res technically than this, it's still fantastic. I up-res it to 4K just in Premiere, just like scale it up. I don't think anybody could tell the difference. I mean, I think it looks like 4K footage. And it's incredible. The other cool thing is the way I've been dealing with these video files for a year has been I'll have like a handful of very big video files that I need to kind of scroll through and find the correct moment, the little interaction. And so I have, let's say, a 12 gig video that has like little moments of interaction with people, and I just clip those out in Premiere. With this, what I get is a handful of just the interactions. No nonsense, no filler, no me walking around a city, just boom, 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 boom. All the interactions that I had. And it's super lightweight and easy to use. I don't have to wear a hat. I can just walk around any way I want. I loved these so much. I bought a second pair. These are the sunglass versions. And like, for those of you wondering, if you have Ray-Ban Wayfarers, they don't look any different. Like, I'm going to take these off and I'm going to put on these. These are Wayfarers. I've been wearing these for like 20 years and they just put cameras and speakers in them. That's it. Like, they're awesome. And they look totally normal. People don't even really clock that you're recording. And it's absurdly fantastic. It's like this was knocked out of the park. So I can't recommend these glasses enough. They have changed my life. I don't know. These have been out for like 8 months and I don't know what my reservation, I don't know why I didn't want to use them. But they're incredible. And for somebody who doesn't wear glasses, like I don't mind wearing glasses kind of like on the regular now. I don't wear these just for my like street photo project sessions. I wear these all the time now because the dream of mine is that I can walk around anywhere and just snap a photo and get the video interaction that I'm looking for. And the way I'm planning on doing that is like if I'm just walking around the supermarket and I see somebody awesome, I want to pull out my phone, turn the flash on, snap them a couple times, record it on here because I don't want to be tied to just my Sony a7R5. I want to be able to shoot anytime I want. So these things, they're a game changer. If you're a content creator and you want to shoot any kind of POV content, this is the stuff. No more stupid GoPros on your chest. No more stupid GoPros on your hat. No more of these stupid Insta360 Goes. Just these. And these things are going to get better. But right now, they are really incredible. The other thing I'll just say real quick to seal the deal, I carry AirPods with me everywhere I go, or at least I used to. These glasses have Bluetooth speakers in them. They sound fantastic. They don't sound kind of good. They're not acceptable. They're like totally fantastic. And I'm an Apple fanboy. I got an iPad here. I've got Mac computers over here. I'm an Apple fanboy. I love these things. But I got to say, if you ever want to wear sunglasses and AirPods at the same time, just get the Meta Ray-Bans, because the audio quality is incredible. The only thing it doesn't have is noise canceling because it's not sitting in your ear, but it sounds fantastic and other people can't really hear it. Like if you get really, really close and you're playing loud music, yes, you could hear it at the tiniest little bit. Like there's something, can't even really like derive what you're hearing, but you can hear a little bit of something, but they're incredible. And I think everybody on planet Earth should be wearing these. They're just that good. Yeah, this was a huge discovery for 2025. It is the basis of a kit. So now instead of walking around, I used to wear this big sling bag, and it would have these cameras in it. It would have chargers for these cameras. It would have a hard drive just in case, all this stuff. And now I could just, if I want to, wear these. I keep the case in my car and my camera. That's it. And I know that sounds basic for those of you that don't have the same needs as me, but for me, where I was wearing and holding all of this gear on me at one time, now it's just glasses and camera. Incredible. And that gets me to my bag, which I just said I don't plan on using very much, but at the very tail end of 2024, I found a bag that I really, really liked. And it was this one right here. This is the Tom Talk. Link in the description below. I don't know the exact name, but it is just like a very tiny sling bag, but it carries so much that I could carry 2 of these in there if I needed to. These are the Insta360 Goes. I can carry batteries. I've got an Anker power bank in here, which I use kind of like, I've never really used it, but I've got them like as an emergency thing, just in case something goes wrong, either with my phone or my camera or something. It was really to charge these, but even still, I very rarely use it. It's kind of more just like an emergency thing. And it was something that I was initially, because I've gone down this thing, and I'm going to make a whole video about this, but I went down this world of the DJI Osmo Pocket 3. And I wanted to love this thing, but I do not love this camera. And I just don't love the ergonomics of it. I don't love the way you have to store it when you're kind of on the go. But it does fit really nicely in this bag. So if you were a DJI Osmo Pocket 3 person, this bag is really, really perfect because it fits in there just mwah. And it's a really lightweight bag. So I can't recommend this bag enough. I have every bag on the planet. I've got all of the Peak Design sling bags. I've got some nomadic bags. None of them have been what I wanted. None of them are like the bag of my dreams. This Tom Talk is about as close as I've ever gotten to a bag that is lightweight, easy, and you can just like throw it on. Because I think if you're going to carry a big like camera backpack, like if you're resigned to carry something that big, there's probably a lot of great options. But it's when you want to get smaller and nimble where the problem usually starts. And this Tom Talk is really nice for that. So lastly, one of the things are SD cards. These don't really get a lot of attention, but I think they're important because you'll see failures in SD cards. You'll see like dropped frames or like micro issues over time on SD cards. I think everybody has these like horror stories, so much so that, high-end cameras have 2 SD slots in case one of the cards fails. And so getting the right SD card, I think, is really important. I get these Lexar Professional 2000X cards. These are the full-size SD cards. These things are really, really good. They're in all of my cameras. I use dual card slots on every one just in case. I shoot simultaneously, so in case one camera or one card goes down, I still have a card that has all the stuff on it. That's kind of like an event photographer's take, but I just love the backup nature of it. But these cards are bangers. I love these. I've used SanDisk before. never really had a problem, but these things, the performance is unmatched. Like 8K video, really high speed, read and write speeds are really fantastic. Everything about it is really, really, really good. So I can't recommend these enough. So I know I just threw a lot at you there, but that's my 2025 camera kit. That is everything I'm using this year, and I have really high hopes for both my camera, my A7R5, and these Meta Ray-Ban glasses. So I would love to hear what you guys think. I know that everybody's equipment choices are very personal, and I think that's how they should be. But I don't think that you should be shy about trying to find the most perfect piece of gear. When people demonize gear acquisition syndrome, it isn't about the kind of the consumer nature of just more. It really is finding the appropriate piece of gear for your creative expression. I appreciate all of you folks that have been subscribing and watching my videos. It's really blown up in the last month or two. So thank you. If you haven't subscribed yet, please like and subscribe below. I would really appreciate it. And I'll see you next time for a whole lot more.